Hello there, this is Kush Sharma, your photography and video making instructor, and in this video I will be teaching you how to create fake steam inside Photoshop. It's a very easy process. This is going to be a very quick video. So we have this shot of this tea being poured in this cup, and it's a really nice dark and moody shot, but of course one of the things that is missing in this shot that can really add some spice to the shot is if it had hot steam coming out of this cup. So let's see how we can create it. So we've got our layer here. What we're going to do is we're going to create our steam on a separate layer, because after we have created the steam, we will still need to edit that layer. That means edit that steam till we get it absolutely correct. That means it has to be on its own layer. So that's the first task. We're going to go down here. I'll just click on this icon which says create a new layer. So you can see a transparent layer is being selected here. So now we can work exclusively on this to create the steam. So how do you create the steam? It's very easy. You will select the paint brush tool, the normal brush tool that is there in Photoshop, okay? You can change the size of this brush from here. You can also use the square bracket keys like this and this to change the size, okay? Because we will need to do that. But the most important thing here is make sure that the hardness of this brush is set to 0%. That means it has to be the softest possible brush which doesn't produce any sort of hard edges once we start painting with it. And which color are we going to use for painting? Because steam usually is whitish, so we will use the white color. So make sure here the top color is set to white. And then another important thing that we need to do is this has to be slightly subtle, okay? So make sure that the opacity of this brush is also lower. So right now, by default, it's 100%. Let's say we can set it to something like 50%, 46%, doesn't matter, okay? Let's say 48%. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to basically dab a bit. Just press our mouse a couple of times. We want the steam to rise absolutely to the top. So let's say the first click will generate something like this. Okay, so you can see here. And of course, we are going to edit this. So this is not going to be our steam, don't worry. And you can see here, so maybe one more of this, and I'm just decreasing the size as I go on top. So we are kind of giving it the illusion that the steam will start to become lesser and lesser as it goes on the top, okay? So maybe like once more. Now what you want to do here is, right now it's just looking like three spherical things here, right? We don't want that. We want to create some unevenness in this, okay, before we actually create the steam effect. So what we want to do is, again, just keep changing the size of the brush a bit. This can be a bit random. Don't worry, you don't exactly have to do what I'm doing, but just give it a few more touches like this, maybe just to create that unevenness, okay? Maybe create one here. And you can make it slightly smaller, maybe a bit bigger, or see it smaller here rather. And even you can reduce it further, even start to draw like this, okay? That's also fine. Make it even smaller. Okay. Yes. Just kind of creating it, just giving it that uneven effect a bit. And yeah, I think this looks really good, and I think this is how steam looks, and I think we're done here. So thank you for watching. Of course, I'm joking. So there is just one little thing to do. In fact, just a couple of things to do, okay, to make it more realistic. So what we're going to do here is, now that we've got this uneven looking effect, maybe just give it one more touch here, okay? If you're going to go to filter, so make sure this layer is highlighted. So we're working on this layer. We're going to go to filter, then we'll select render, and inside that we're going to click on difference clouds, and that is actually going to make a lot of difference, as you can see here. So this now starts to look a bit close to actual steam here, okay? So one of the things, obviously steam is never this strong and it's also never this even. So maybe we could have done a better job when we were trying to just create that uneven look, but that's fine. It's not such a big problem, because ultimately we will be using layer masking to correct a few things. But right now, first, one of the things that can really just start to make this look real is if we just decrease the opacity of this layer. So we can go here, this layer, and maybe let's say this is also too much. Steam is never this loud. It's usually very subtle if you've seen real steam. So something like this is where we start to at least get a bit closer. Okay, I would probably even say this is also strong, maybe something like this, okay? This starts to look good, and I just feel things are a bit missing. Right above this cup there we have a gap, but don't worry, we will correct all that. That's not such a big deal. In fact, because we have this on a separate layer, if I just use the move tool and actually just even move it anyway, okay? So maybe something like this. So you can see it starts to at least look better, but it still looks more like a cloud right now than a steam, okay? So what we're going to do first of all is just going to play around with the shape of this layer, okay? Just give it a bit of, just warp it around, and the tool that we will be using is actually called warp. So if we make sure this is selected, go to edit, go to transform, and go to warp, okay? If we go here, this tool basically allows you to change the shape of anything in any manner that you want. You can see here I can drag it from anywhere, okay, like this. Okay, so just again trying to just make it really random, just like how Steam actually is. Okay, so feel free to change this however you want. Try to make it as random as possible. And you can take your time on this. I'm just being quick because this is ultimately just to show you how it's done. And let's say I'm slightly happier with this. I'm going to just press enter so that this is fine. And you can see it starts to it's just stretched this whole thing everywhere. So it doesn't, it's reduced that cloud-like effect that we were getting. And now finally, layer masking ultimately will just enable us to do the editing in a very manual way. So I'm going to open up the layer mask on this by clicking, make sure layer 1 is highlighted. Open up the layer mask, okay? And now, wherever we paint black, that's how layer masking works. White means this whole layer is being seen. If I start painting black on it, we're revealing the layer from below which didn't have the steam. So wherever I start painting black, basically the empty surface or the background behind will start to show. Now here, you have to be really careful with layer masking. Make sure this time the brush opacity, when you start doing this, is really, really low because we want this to be very subtle, okay? Anywhere we want the effect to be more, we can just run over that place again and that will increase the effect. But just to start off with, for single strokes, our opacity is going to be around 8 to 10%. That is fine, okay? So I'm going to make it slightly bigger. And now, I don't want this, it's looking too symmetrical right now. So I just want to take away from some areas like this, okay? As you can see here, it's very subtle, the change. You can see it's just wherever I'm painting black, it's just taking away from there. For example, this is too loud here. Too loud here. Okay. I think this left part is looking really good because sometimes the steam also goes just everywhere. This part is looking too straight, so maybe I can just put it here. Maybe even just give it a bit of unevenness, okay? Just deliberately create some gaps also here. And by the way, if you ever want, for example, let's say I feel maybe I wanted the steam back a bit here. I don't want to remove it. That's the good part about layer masking. You can always switch over to white, okay? And if I start painting again, it's going to get the steam back again. That's why layer masking makes your work very, very non-destructive, okay? Again, just to create that unevenness, I will just reduce the steam a bit from here. And also from this part, I want it to be slightly thinner, okay? Like this. So you can see we're deliberately kind of giving it a much more realistic effect, okay? That's because steam is very, very random. And you can see, I think this looks really, really nice. Also, one thing that we really want to make sure is if I zoom in, okay, we don't want by accident, remember we had moved the steam, should not come below the cup. So obviously, because the steam is generated from here. Here it's actually fine, but just to make sure I can actually increase the opacity of this brush to absolutely 100% and just run around here, okay, with the black color. So I know that in case any of that steam effect was here, it's just going to vanish. It's not going to be here anyway. Okay, so it has to be above the cup. And now you can do anything with this, right? So you can, play around with this. You have it on a separate layer. First of all, let's see the before and after. You can see here, this looks really, really nice. And you can again, let's say if I just wanted to change the shape a bit, well, I can always again open up the transform. Well, and maybe let's say from here, I just wanted it to make it a bit narrow. So I can just, even do this. And just hit enter. So basically the point is you can play around with it, make it bigger, make it smaller. So let's just finally look at the before and after. And boom, I think this looks really good. Thanks for watching this video. If you are interested, by the way, in learning the art of food photography, definitely check out my Food Photography for Beginners course. The link will be given in the description of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.